Okay, greeting to all viewers. Welcome to here on second session of day one. On behalf of Technical Event Cell in lecture series on trends in technological advancement, we have this session from Dr. Heli Shah. She is Professor and Dean Robotics and Automation Engineering Department from Palo Institute of Technology. Let me brief you about our expert. Dr. Heli Shah is working as a professor and head in Department of Robotics and Automation Engineering at Faculty of Engineering Technology, Palo University, Vadodara. She has total 16 years of teaching experience. She is a doctoral progress review committee member for 2 PhD students in Gujarat Technological University. She did her Bachelor of Engineering in Electrical Engineering from Gujarat University, Masters in Automatic Control and Robotics from the Maharaja Sayajidar University, Vadodara. And she done her PhD in Electric Drives and Embedded System from Sardar Vallabhbhai National Institute of Technology, Surat. More of that, she has published more than 10 research papers in reputed journals and conferences. She has been nominated as Chapter Vice Chair in IEEE Gujarat section for the year 2021. Her research interest areas are embedded systems, renewable energy systems, robotics, and automations. So now we will move forward for today's session, which will be delivered by Dr. Heli Shah.
Thank you, Prince.
Yes, ma'am. Now I will hand over to you.
Thank you, Prince. Good afternoon to everyone. The topic for today's presentation is research advancements in robotics engineering. As we can see in the diagram, we can see here that there is a small robot from a two-legged robot, then like a monkey or an animal, and then like a human. So just as humans have been advanced, the robots are also advanced from a small machine to a humanoid robot. That is what we are going to see today in today's session. Before going further, I would like to tell you what is a robot. Robot, actually, the word was coined by a Czech novelist, Karel Čapek, in a 1920. In a play titled Resum's Universal Robots, RUR. Robot in a Czech is a word for worker or servant. Basically, when we are talking about robot, Czech people make it as a worker or a servant. And actually, it is originated from the word robota. The origin of the word robot is the play and the word robota. But the actual definition of a robot is, it is a reprogrammable, multifunctional manipulator designed to move material, parts, tools, or specialized devices through variable programmed motions for the performance of variety of tasks. This definition was given by Robotic Institutes of America in 1979. And at the same time, Asimov also gave the laws of the robotics. And on the basis of these laws, the robot has to behave. People designing the robots have to see and have to design the robots on the basis of these laws. So the first law was invented, and then the 0th law came into the force. That law states that a robot may not injure humanity or through inaction allow humanity to come harm. So whatever you are developing as a robot, it should not injure humanity. Law 1 states that a robot may not injure a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm unless this would violate the higher order law. Now the higher order law is this one. Then second law states that a robot must obey orders given to it by human beings. except where such orders would conflict with the higher order law. That means if a human being tells a robot to injure a second human being, then robot must not obey it because it violates the law 1. Law 3, a robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the higher order law. Right? So on the basis of these 4 laws, the robots have been developed. When the first robot was developed? Actually, the first robot was developed years ago, but actual programmable robot, the first programmable robot was developed in 1954 and it was designed by George Devol. George Devol is known as the father of robotics, who coins the term universal automation. He later shortens this to Unimation, which becomes the name of the first robot company in 1962. And the first robot which was made by him, as shown in this diagram, is known as Unimat. Unimat is nothing but automated. It is originally automated the manufacture of picture tubes. So this was the first programmable robot. Then in 1978, Puma, Programmable Universal Machine for Assembly. This robot was developed by Unimation, and then at that point of time they took the help of General Motor as well as they took the help of Fanuc. Fanuc along with General Motors developed the robot Puma, which was Programmable Universal Machine for Assembly, which is shown here. Now if you can see this robot, this is just like a human arm. This is just like a human arm and it acts as a human arm. Then in 1980s, the robot industries enters the phase of rapid growth. You can see here, this is a Scara robot, then this was Insight robot, then it was the technology manipulator, Barrett technology manipulator, and from then onwards, many institutions introduced the programs and courses in robotics. Robotic courses are spread across mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and computer science departments. From 1980s till before 5-6 years, robotics was not a specialized branch, but it was the part of either a mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, or a computer science department. Nowadays, we have robotics as a specialized branch of BTech. Then in 1995, there were so many emerging applications in small robotics and mobile robots, which drove a second growth of startup companies and research. And in 2003, robots went to space, where NASA's Mars exploration rovers were launched towards Mars in search of answers about the history of water in Mars. You can see this diagram. This is nothing but the space robot which was developed by NASA. If I want to learn robotics, if I want to go into the details of robotics, what knowledge I should have, or what knowledge base any student or any person who wants to work in robotics should have. He or she should be capable enough in modeling and analysis of the dynamic system, feedback control, sensors and signal conditioning, actuators and power electronics, hardware and computer interfacing, and the computer programming. Now, when I am talking about these first two things, this deals with the control theory or control system theory. This sensors and signal conditioning deals with the instrumentations, controls, and electronics. This actuators and power electronic deals with electrical and electronics. And these two are the interdisciplinary thing with the computer electronics and the electrical. So if I want to develop a robot, if I want to work with the robot, I should be good enough for the mathematics, physics, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, computer engineering, and computer science. Now biology is also added here because biomimics is there, humanoids are there, because of which biology is also added into the knowledge base for robotics. What are the key components of any particular robot? It requires a power conversion unit. If you want to convert from AC to DC, or if you want to convert from DC to AC, you need a power conversion unit, which is the main component of a robot. Sensors, actuators, controller to control the robot, user interface to give the commands by the user, and the manipulator which manipulates the actions of the robots. Now, when we are talking about robot, we should have two kind of robot. One is a fixed robot and the another one is a mobile robot. You can see here in this diagram, this is the fixed robot. These robots can be used in the manufacturing companies or the companies where you have just assembling work and the work which a robot can do by sitting or staying at one particular place. Then we have mobile bases, which can be, we can get them with the help of the wheels, or we can get them with the help of the legs, or we can get them with the help of the tracks. And we can say that these robots can move anywhere and they can work accordingly. Which sensors we require if I want to build a robot? See, if I talk about the 5 basic senses of a human being, if I talk about this, what we have eyes, ears, nose, skin, and tongue. Similarly, sight, that is eyes, sound, touch, taste, and smell. These are the senses which we have. Similarly, what robots should have, apart from these 5 senses, it should have the ability to see in the dark. Also, it should have ability to detect tiny amounts of invisible radiation. Because if I want a robot to work in the hazardous area, then it should also measure the movement that is too small or fast for the human eye to see. See, obviously, when there are rapid things which are going from our eyes, what we can say in front of our eyes, we can say that it is, you cannot measure those things, right? Similarly, robot should be able to measure those things. And also the robot sensor should be like, they should be sensing the environment around the robot. Then they should be sensing the uh, obstacles, they should be sensing any particular thing, presence of toxic gas, arm position, anything they should be able to sense. For that, we have different sensors available. First is the accelerometer, or which uses the piezoelectric effect. Now, what is the piezoelectric effect? If we press something, we get the energy. So that kind of thing is the piezoelectric sensors. Then we have flexiforce sensors, which are there in the robotics. Then we have vision sensors. In-light vision sensors are also there, and 3D vision sensors are also there to sense the vision. They are basically used to pick the beans, perform inspection. For pick and place robot also we can use the vision sensor. So for part picking, a robot can handle inside vision sensor workpieces that are randomly piled by using 3D vision sensor. So what we can do, whatever are the pieces, randomly they are here, here, here. A robot having a vision sensor can take all the pieces and it can pile at anywhere. So this can be constructed at very low cost. Then we have force sensor. Robots are used in the surgery. Robots are used in the part fitting. So when they are used in the surgery, for surgery we need to fit in something in the human body. So that is insertion of something or fitting some part. For that we can use the force sensor, which can have an adequate force for inserting something into the human body. So for that we can have, robot can do precise fitting and insertion of machine parts also, because see, if I have a very small gap, my fingers would not be able to handle those small materials because it may slip out of my hand. And if there are large materials, I am not capable enough to handle very large or very huge materials. So at those point of time, If a robot can hold those small materials, those large materials, and it can insert it inside the machinery, or we can say inside the human body, then it would be very much helpful. So for that we need force sensor. Then there are proximity sensors. Now, what is a proximity sensor and where the proximity sensors are used? It is proximity sensing is the technique of detecting the presence or an absence of an object with an electronic non-contact type of sensor. If you can see, these are the proximity sensor and they have ultrasonic range. So what happens with these sensors, we can detect either the presence or an absence of any object. With this sensor, this particular car is being built. You can see this. In this car, there are 6 proximity sensors. These are the 6 proximity sensors you can see here. These are the you can say lights. You can see here the sensors, these 3 plus these 3, these are the 6 sensors. So 6 ultrasonic sonar transducer to explore wide open areas. Then you can detect the obstacle from 15 centimeter to 3 meter, that is a wide range, right? And you have infrared proximity sensors. Why infrared? Because they act as a virtual bumper and allow for negotiating tight spaces. So if a car is having this kind of sensors, what we can say, we can avoid the collisions, we can avoid any particular thing, because sensors will sense an object and it will give the signal. So there will not be any kind of collisions. Then we have tilt sensors, which balances a robot. When we are talking about a humanoid or when we are talking about a robot doing some particular work, see, this is a planar bipedal robot which employs this kind of tilt sensors. So these tilt sensors are there and they can balance a particular robot. Then there are, just as the human body is having muscles, similarly robots are having actuators which utilize the combinations of electromechanical devices like synchronous motor, stepper motor. This is the AC motor, AC servo motor, brushless DC servo motor and brushed DC servo motor. These are employed particularly for having the rotary movements in the robot, for having some particular speed conversions in the robot. So we need actuators. These are the common actuators which are used: hydraulic motor for high power applications, pneumatic motor for low power applications, and very widely used motors which are there in the robots are DC motor, stepper motor, and the servo motor. These motors can be used in a robot for any particular application where you don't require high power, as well as this electric motors will give high efficiency. These are the wires with which we can just fit in the robot. Then by inserting all this element, we also should have the controller to control all this element, which provides the necessary intelligence to control the manipulator or a mobile robot. We need to control a particular robot. So this particular thing can be done by a controller. There are different kind of controllers available these days for a robot. We can control it using Firebird, we can control it using Arduino Uno, we can control it using ARM Cortex controller. These are the some devices. And when we are talking about the controller, and robot is a programmable device, so what we need is, we also need some kind of storage, because we will store our program in the storage device, then it can be loaded into the controller, and then robot can execute a particular task. So we can have the memory to store the control program and the state of the robot system obtained from the sensors. Then we can have a computational hardware which is doing all the computations, all the controls of the robot. This is the PIC controller. Instead of this PIC controller, we can have 8051. Instead of this 8051, we can also have Firebird. So we can have any particular controller depending upon our application. Then There are some interface hardware, because whatever sensors are giving us, that is the analog signal. We need to convert that analog signal to digital signal using ADC, and then we also need operational amplifier, particularly to do some particular operation, like I want to amplify the signal, if I want to add up two signals, if I want to do the differentiation or integration of a particular signal, then I need the operational amplifier. Where robots are used in industry, there are n number of applications which are where robots are used. I have listed here, but it may happen few applications are still left out. In industry, it can be used in agricultural industry, in automobile industry. Agricultural industry, it can be used for harvesting, it can be used for farming. For automobile industry, it can be used for the car assembly, it can be used for the spray welding, spray painting. In the construction site, you can use the robot for moving the heavy materials. In the entertainment industry, it can be used in homes. In the healthcare, in COVID, we have seen the use of robots in the laboratories, where we can use the robot. In the law enforcement, for the surveillance, for the patrolling, right? For the manufacturing. In military, we can use it for the surveillance, demining and attacking purpose. In transportation, it can be air transportation, ground transportation. In space also we are using them. Then we can use them for the utilities and in the warehouses for sorting the materials. One by one, we are going to see all the applications and the advancements done in all these applications. See, this is the use of a robot. You can see this is just a robotic arm. This is just a robotic arm. You can say that this is our shoulder, this is our elbow, and this is our actual arm. So we can say that this is just like our arm, human arm. And you can see this entire thing. It is used in the material handling, transferring of the material, loading or unloading kind of thing, right? It can also be used for the welding purpose, spray coating purpose, and inspection purpose. So these are the basic examples of the applications where robots can be used in industry. Now, if you see here, these are the huge boxes. If a human being has to shift these boxes, there would be so much of labor which would be wasted. Instead of which, if we can do it with the help of the robots, it would be very much helpful. In space, you can see this. NASA has sent a rover in 2003 to the space. What is the advantage? See, we can send robots to explore space without having worry about their safety. See, we want to do this as they should last for so much of time in the space, and we need them to stick around long enough to investigate and send us information also. But even if this fails, the humans involved with the mission will stay safe. So we are not harming the life of a human being by sending a robot to the space. Again, it is very much cheaper than sending a human. Why it is cheaper? Because robot don't need to eat or sleep or go to the washroom. They can survive in space for many years and can be left out there, right? No need for a return trip. So it is so much cheap for sending a robot in the space than to send a human being. Then there are so many hazardous environments wherein we can have robots to work in those environments. Like if you can see this strobe, it was in Antarctica operating underwater. You know that Antarctica is having so much of snow, and it is a place where you can say that there is so much of snowfall and you can't, even human beings can't survive there, right? Then this is haze boat. You can see that this. Why it is haze boat? Because it is having 6 wheels and 2 are the back. So there are totally 8 wheels, right? It is operating in atmospheres containing combustible gases. Human beings can't survive here, right? So the places where human beings can't survive, robots can very well go and work. Medical robots. See, this is what it is using a force sensor. It is the robotic assistant for microsurgery. And this is a small part which has to be inserted inside the human body. This particular small part, if it has to be inserted in the human body, it can be done with the help of a robot hand, right? Similarly, the operative system, you can see that this is just like a human hand, right? And this is what has been done with the help of a robot. You can have a surgery with the help of the robot. Then in military, these are used for the strike. Deployed from a sub's hull, Manta could dispatch tiny mine-seeking AUVs or engage in more explosive combat. This was a Predator, Global Hawk, Golden Eye, and I-Star. These are used in the military extensively. Then at home, this is the entertainment application. Sony has developed SDR3X, which is an entertainment robot. And this is another thing, Sony Aido. You can see that this is a transmitter. So this can be, you can employ them anywhere and they will do your entertainment. So these are the entertainment robots. Then the most important thing which came from 2016 and 17, humanoid robots. The first humanoid robot was Sophia, which was a social humankind robot developed by Hong Kong-based company Hansen Robotics. It was first turned on February 14, 2016, and it made her first public appearance at South by Southwest Festival in mid-March 2016 in Austin, Texas. So first public appearance of Sophia was in 2016. In 2017, Sophia became a Saudi Arabian citizen, thus becoming the first robot to receive citizenship of any country. Sophia is the first robot who received the citizenship of any particular country. Then our own robot, Indian robot, that is Mitra. Mitra is a humanoid robot and it was developed by the Indian startup Invento Robotics, which is in Bangalore, and it was funded by Balaji Vishwanathan. It made its first appearance in November 2017 at the Global Entrepreneurship Summit in 2017, where it greeted Ivanka Trump, senior advisor to the US President, and also interacted with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Since then, we all know the journey of Mitra. After Mitra, there was another human robot which they developed, and that was Mitri. Mitra is not alone. You have another humanoid robot, that is Mitri. Then in 2020, we had the worst phase of our life wherein COVID-19 had, you can say, disasters in the entire world. And then at that point of time, robots were so much of help, so much of use, and how different countries used robots in COVID-19. There were almost 16 countries who used robots in public safety, public works, non-clinical public health. Then they also use them in the quarantine enforcement, disinfecting the public spaces, identification of the infected persons. How do they do this thing? They do this thing with the help of the testing, public service announcement, and monitoring traffic flow. There were about 7 countries who use robots extensively in the clinical care. The first part, this is where the robots are used extensively. Slowly and gradually, the use has been decreased here. Then disinfecting the point of care. That means you are disinfecting the entire hospital. Healthcare worker telepresence. Robot can make a video call to a healthcare worker. Prescription meal dispensing, patient intake and visitors, and patient and family socializing. This is what robots were doing. Then almost in 7 countries, it was critical infrastructure, quality of life and work. where food delivery was there, socializing was there, and telecommerce was there. This was too low. Then, in some places, it was laboratory and supply chain automation, in food delivery and drug delivery, in handling infectious material. Now, this is very much important because we have seen in the news, we have seen that people are just going away from the COVID patients. And at that point of time, if you have a robot, it would be so much of work and use. Manufacture or Decon PP, laboratory automation. And there were only 3 countries who were using them in the non-hospital care, delivery to the quarantine persons, quarantine or nursing home socializing, and offsite testing. Testing was not much done by the robots. The thing was very clear. That is why it was not done much by the robots. See, this is what these are the some pictures where robots were used for particularly help in the COVID. Now you can see these are the robot nurses. This is Mitra and this is Mitri. These two are in Gujarat's Smimer Hospital in Surat. They are helping out serving food, giving out medicine and other knickknacks that COVID-19 patients may require. You can see here. This is a sanitizer bottle. You have a water bottle. You have a tray. They can serve. So nurses will have less chances to get infected, right? Then this was the Zephyr, which was developed by the Propeller Technologies, and it was deployed by the Mahatma Gandhi Memorial Government Hospital in Tiruchirappalli. It was originally created in 2019, but it was augmented to specially meet the needs of the coronavirus patients in the quarantine. You can see that it can even take the things from this particular cupboards and it can serve to the patients. Now, if you can see these robots, this Mitra robot are having some Mitra robots are having screens over here. Some Mitra robots are having screens over here, and because of that Mitra robot, because of this Mitra robots, what they have, just a second. They have the screens over here, and because of these screens, what they can do, the Mitra robots can interact with the humans admitted in the hospital, and they can socialize with their family members also. Then these are the delivery robots which were used in the COVID-19. You can see that they have the tanks, big tanks, and the food delivery was recommended to maintain social distancing. But this risk of contracting COVID-19 through food delivery remains possible, as the delivery person might be infected but not showing symptoms. So there were so many countries like the US and China. Robots are being used for delivery, ensuring a higher level of protection, because we never know the person who's coming for the delivery is infected or is not infected, right? Then drones in the form of robots were used in various countries to monitor and disinfect the streets during the lockdown. In Spain, the police flew the drones with speakers around public places to warn citizens on coronavirus lockdown. And in UAE, drones are being used to disinfect pavements and public squares. So we can say that they are used for the disinfectants. Even they are used for the, you can say, monitor the public. These robots are used in surveillance. for monitoring street during lockdowns. In Tunisia, surveillance robots are being used to patrol the streets during lockdown. So they were also asking the pedestrians passing by to show their ID to enable police officers to check if they have permission to be out upon the nationwide lockdown announced by the government. So this is the robots used for the surveillance. Then you can say that humans are picking the things. These are the humans. They are picking the things and making something. And where you have a new technology where robots cope with the constant change and irregular shapes that human encounter at work. Foodly. This was a robot, Foodly, which is a collaborative robot. Foodly is a collaborative robot known as Cobot, developed by RT Corporation, uses advanced vision algorithm and a grasping hand. You can see that this is the grasping hand to place the pieces of a food item in a bento box. So it can place it. This is a Cobot, which is known as the collaborative robot. Then in Manila, near 200 high school students took turns teleoperating into a tall-wheeled robot developed by the school's robotic club to walk on stage during their graduation ceremony. So this is the virtual graduation ceremony. The robots were it was done by the robots. Then you can see this exoskeleton. Some humans make use of wearable robots. This is a human being which uses the wearable robot or exoskeleton. You can say that exoskeleton. This is a human being. It is the combination of sensors, computers, and motors, which arms with hooks attached. You can see this. Can you see this? Human have worn this thing. And it is demonstrated by Sarcos Robotics as well as one another company. It can lift up to 200 pounds, perhaps as an aid to airport luggage handlers. So if you can see this, what it can be done, you don't have to carry this much of weight. It can be done by the exoskeleton in this way. The exoskeleton, which was manufactured by either you can say Sarcos or it was manufactured by the Cyberdyne. It consisted of two connected white tubes that curved across the back. You can see this. These are the black tubes, but the same thing, right? And a belt at the waist and two strap-on thighs. It is like you feel like being strapped into a parachute or an amusement park ride. The person who is bent at the waist to lift a 40-pound container of water, which should have hurt lower back. Instead of that, a computer in the tubes used the change in the position to deduce that person was lifting an object and motors kicked into the assist the person, right? So this is what you can say. You can pick up so much of weight with the help of the exoskeleton. Then this is a prosthetic limb, which was developed by a robot with the help of the robotic advancement. Yukio Tagachi, a 59-year-old paraplegic, wears hybrid assistive limb. You can see here. He is wearing it. Developed by Cyberdyne. He was a surfer and a snowboarder for more than 13 years. But after an injury, he began to train with HL. HL is nothing but hybrid assistive limb. 2 times a month at the RoboCare Center. And he was able to do his own work with the help of this limb. So this is also the research advancement in the robotics. Cyberdyne sees a large market in medical rehabilitation. This is the part of medical rehabilitation, right? It also makes a lower limb exoskeleton that is being used to help people regain the use of their own legs. Even nowadays, we have the exoskeleton made for the arms also, right? They are the prosthetic limbs. Then you can see that this is the what I was talking about, exoskeleton made for the arms. You can see a robot trying to grasp the thing, just as a human can do for an uneven shape of the thing. Grasping objects and manipulating them are crucial skills for robots. because they don't have hands like us. They don't have movements of hands like us like this. Human hands are more sensitive and nimble than any robots, but machines are improving. You can see here. This is just as a mimic of the human hand. I think you all have one more session on biomimics where you can see all these things, these advancements. Using fingers inflated with compressed air to mimic a human hand's soft touch. This robot at the Technical University of Berlin picks up an apple, which is seen here, shown here. You can see this. The soft silicon piezo pneumatic sensor is here. This is the air chamber. These are the air chambers, right? Then the air is coming here. This is the surface for surface contact. This is made up of rubber. And these are the radial fibers which help the fingers maintain its shape when it is inflated, right? This is the opposable thumb, and when you want to release, there is one acoustic sensor which tells you to release. So first thing, robot will identify the target. It will detect the target with the help of the camera sensor, and it will tell the robot's brain that there is one target. Then pressurized air from a compressor activates these fingers, allowing them to curl and straighten as required, right? As such as the human hand, while controlling any object. Fingers mold around the object for a firm grip. Then they will manipulate it for the particular grip, and then they will interact. Soft robots are safer than rigid metal ones when it comes to working with humans. So if you want to have this robot to work with the human, it is also, you can also do that, right? So for that, you can say that it should have a vacuum grabber, it should have a gripping tentacle, it should have flexible flaps, high speed claw, humanoid hand, and the last thing, now we have a biomimetic hand, right? Initially, this is the actual thing what we have, the from the normal robot hand, robot arm to the human arm. First thing was the vacuum grabber. You can see that this is holding a thing. Then it was the tentacle. Then it was flexible flap which can open or close, and a person can hold it. Then you have a high speed claw with 3 fingers. Then you had a humanoid hand which can hold, but then biomimetic hand which mimics the human hand, right? This is what we have as a future in the robots. Now see here. Here in the Fluidix Instruments in Netherlands. This employee works with the 7 robotic arms to assemble the parts for oil and gas burners. Now, like traditional factory robots, these cobots, these are not the robots, these are the cobots, collaborative robots, which are efficient and precise, and they are able to produce 1,000 of nozzles per an hour. You can see this, right? But unlike older machines, they adapt quickly to changed specifications or a new task. So it is very good. As they are cobots, they can adapt quickly to the changings. Now this is the medical healthcare robot in Dallas. Nurses work with Moxie. This is the name of the robot. This is Moxie. Just as Mitra was working here in the India. A robot built to learn and then perform tasks that take nurses away from patients, such as fetching supplies, delivering lab samples, and removing bags of solid linens. Now you can see here, in Minato city section of Tokyo, Murata's teleoperated Oriheim robot greets its inventor. When people are alone, you don't have anyone to talk, you want to just don't want to be lonely, then you have a robot which can greet you, which can talk with you. That was developed by Ori Laboratory in Japan. Now this is something very good. At Henry Willing Farm in Netherlands. This is the astronaut A4 robot. Cow decides to enter here. When the animal goes inside the robot, you can see that this is the robot. This is the entire robot and the animal is inside, right? The robot scans her collar and gives her a treat if she is right about needing to be milked. If she is not, gets no treat and she walks off. The machine does the milking automatically. Milking of cows is being done by the machine, and it also senses whether cow needs it or not. If cow needs it, they will give the treat also. If not, they will not. Farmers will monitor production and give the robot instructions via touchpad. Right? Then again, this is the agricultural application. If I want to have the seeds, I want to do that. It is very difficult, right? Every year at nursery in Netherlands, these are the 3 robots, 1, 2 and 3. Made by ISO group plant 18,000 flower plug seedlings that have just begun to grow, supervised by a single human worker. Now if I want to do this much, it is not possible. It is not possible, right? Because for 18,000 I cannot do in a 1 hour, and if I can do, I need to have so many of human workers. In spite of that, I have only one human worker and he observes all this thing, right? So now at this juncture, what I can say, robots have replaced the human beings. Robots have, you can say, worked in so many areas just as the human beings, but at the same time, they cannot replace the human being because they can do the well-defined tasks, but none has mastered humans' ability to multitask or use the common sense as the humans can. So we can have robots to help us, but we cannot have robots just to replace us, right? That is what we can, at the end, we can conclude. Now, I would be happy to address any of the queries if anyone is having. Before that, I just wanted to highlight some things about my department. We are working in the robotics and automation engineering department in the Parul University, and we are doing research and development in the field of robotics at the Parul University. At this juncture of time, we have intake of 60 students in the robotics and automation engineering. So if anyone is interested to visit the labs in the Department of Robotics and Automation at Parul University, they are most welcome at the university. Thank you.
Thank you, Helena. Thank you for your great knowledge towards the robotics and all. Here we have in this meeting, we have the panelists, Professor Harish sir and Professor Bharat sir. I would like to say if there are any questions or else if you want to know something, please ask to Helena ma'am. Professor Harish sir, you are there?
Yes, thank you so much, Prince sir, and thank you so much, Dr. Hali ma'am. Seriously, it was a great presentation to know about the robots, and I would like to agree with the point that you said that the robots cannot replace human being. There is one point which I have heard somewhere that human touch is always required.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, madam. Yes, my question is regarding the research perspective, right? What can be the areas or domain present being the academician and being at the academics? What can be the research perspective in terms of robotics? What are the fields where we can focus on in terms of research?
Sir, we can focus on the fields of biomimics in the robots. We can focus in the fields of, as COVID is there, we can focus on the fields of drones, which can deploy from one place to another place. For the swab testing, we can take the help of robots, and the prosthetic limbs and exoskeletons. These are the fields wherein robots can be used.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Professor Bharat, do you have some questions?
Yes, thank you, madam. You have shared a very good knowledge and very futuristic development as well. Now, I would like to ask one question as a point of view of students. Okay, if students has to go into field of robotics, then what are the basic skills they need to develop, or after completion of robotics engineering? Okay, what are the different skills they can have? Can you please? Yes, madam.
Sir, after completing robotics engineering, students should be able to at least develop a robot. And the basic skills required by a student are the basic programming knowledge, the logical knowledge, because he or she has to think in a way how a robot will work. So for that, he or she needs to apply so much of logic and a programming skill. That is what students should have: a good logical ability and programming ability, along with the knowledge of the electrical, electronics, and mechanical.
Yeah, definitely. Because when we look at the structure of robots, there are some electronic parts is there as well as some mechanical parts are there. And the
Yes,
role of, I think, the role of the robotics engineer is to combine that electrical and mechanical parts, and they have to
yes,
make the logical programming. So with the help of that, they can good. Okay,
yes.
thank you, madam. You have shared a very good knowledge, which is in the
Welcome,
field
sir.
of robotics. No? Okay. Yeah,
Welcome,
Prince
sir.
sir. Okay, sir. Thank you so much for your questions. And Helly ma'am, once again, thank you so much on behalf of Technical Event Cell. We
Thank
all
you,
are
sir.
here. Yes, there is great knowledge towards our recent trends in technological advancements. So we will keep uh, end our session today's here, and we have more sessions tomorrow and onwards. Okay. So viewers, please stay here, and you can continuously visit to our PU webinar on Facebook. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir, for giving the opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am.
Can I leave, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, okay.